The universe is a very big construct that us humans can't fully understand. We have no idea how vast and dangerous it truly is, and can only dream of exploring its endless beauty and depths. However, there are some people that are capable of exploring the cosmos. In fact, it's not just one person. It's a group of people by the name of the Sailor Guardians, led by their leader, Sailor Moon. However, in the universe, there is vast amount of life, powerful life, intelligent life. We call this form of life aliens, and only one individual can master their power, a 10-year-old boy named Ben Tennyson. These two characters are extremely powerful and have mastery over the forces of the cosmos for the sake of protecting the entire universe and the ones they love most. Hello everyone, I'm Dusty. In this video, I'm going to be bringing you a fight between two very powerful cosmic entities. Those characters are Ben Tennyson from the Ben 10 franchise and Sailor Moon from the popular anime manga Sailor Moon. These characters, despite their appearances, are ludicrously powerful, and when I say powerful, I absolutely mean it. Today, I'll be putting both of them into the battle arena to determine which of them is stronger. I'll be comparing their stats, such as strength, speed, durability, IQ, experience, and their abilities to determine who will be taking the victory. Before we get to that, I need to tell you about their backstories, starting with Sailor Moon. As a side note before I read the backstories, I apologize if I've mispronounced anything from Sailor Moon. Anyway, back to the video. Sailor Moon, whose real name is Usagi Tsukikuno, is an ordinary, clumsy, and cheerful teenage girl until she discovers that she's actually a magical warrior destined to protect the world. One day, she meets a talking cat named Luna, who reveals that Usagi is the reincarnation of Princess Serenity, the ruler of a lost kingdom on the moon called the Silver Millennium. Luna gives her a magical brooch that transforms her into Sailor Moon, the guardian of love and justice. As Sailor Moon, Usagi must find and awaken the other Sailor Guardians, recover the legendary Silver Crystal, and fight the dark forces threatening Earth. Along the way, she falls in love with Tuxedo Mask, who is the reincarnation of her past life lover, Prince Endymion. Throughout her journey, Usagi grows from a frightened, unsure girl into a brave and compassionate leader who fights to protect her friends and bring peace to the universe. Ben Tennyson was just an ordinary 10-year-old boy in middle school who lived in the fictional city of Bellwood. He loved the things normal boys his age liked, such as video games, junk food, and getting into mischief. One summer, he went on a camping trip with his cousin Gwen Tennyson and his grandpa, Max Tennyson, when his life changed forever. Ben discovered the powerful alien device called the Omnitrix, which strapped itself upon his wrist with secrets within, and was impossible to remove. The Omnitrix allowed Ben to transform into different alien species, such as his first ever transformation, Heat Blast, along with other transformations such as Diamond Head, Way Big, and others. The Omnitrix was created by the alien scientist Azimuth as a way to better understand alien species, but it also became a very powerful weapon, so much so that it grabbed the attention of the powerful alien warlord Vilgax. Together with his family, Ben used the power of the Omnitrix to protect the Earth as its hero. While he started off as a cocky young boy, he eventually grew to be a mature, responsible hero, one strong enough not only to protect the Earth, but the entire universe. So now that you know who these characters are, let's get to the main event. Like I said earlier, I'll be comparing their stats to come to the conclusion on who wins this battle. Let's begin by talking about their first stat, their strength, starting with Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is one of the strongest characters in anime manga. Her weakest attacks are capable of destroying entire dimensions, and that is just early on in the series. Using the power of the silver crystal early on in the series, she could easily destroy planets, and the crystal's power at the time was stated to be as strong as supernovas. However, that is nowhere close to her true power. The first ever time she transformed into Super Sailor Moon, her power was stated to be tens of thousands of times stronger than the Tioron crystal and scared Pharaoh 90, who said Sailor Moon could, quote, pierce the heavens. Pharaoh is also the same guy who can move his own universe by himself, which is its own space-time, and the Tioron crystal is stronger than even him. Sailor Moon was also able to defeat Queen Nalina Kalinia, who destroyed both her mirror world, which held a multitude of different universes inside of it, but also the shadow of the new moon, which is its own alternate dimension, which would scale Sailor Moon to multiversal. But even after all of that, we are not at Sailor Moon's strongest. Sailor Moon was able to destroy chaos by reducing it to immeasurably small within the galaxy cauldron as merely a side effect of releasing the Lambda power, which restored everything to a static cosmos, which includes everything from the universe to an incalculable amount of dimensions. So yeah, Sailor Moon is very busted and can be scaled anywhere from multiversal all the way to outerversal due to her being above the laws of space, time, and even dimensionality. For this video, I'm going to take her absolute strongest and scale her to outerversal. Ben is also a very busted character and is one of the strongest characters in all of cartoon history. While Ben without the power of the Omnitrix is just a normal human, the power the Omnitrix gives him is insane. Without being transformed into any aliens, he was able to overpower and restrain Simeon, which would be a solar system feat due to Simeon being comparable to Spider Monkey, which is one of Ben's aliens. Ben should also be comparable to Gwen, who was able to keep up with Atia and Pierce, which would give untransformed human Ben consistent solar system levels of strength. Ben was also able to absorb the power of Ascalon, which made him stronger than Dagon, who would scale to multiversal levels of strength. The Omnitrix has also been stated to have enough energy to destroy the entire universe if it were to ever self-destruct. Which, if we take a look at how big the Ben 10 cosmology is, it ranges from a 6-dimensional to a 26-dimensional space, which is as big as the DC and Marvel cosmologies combined. Now let's talk about Ben's aliens, which is what makes him so powerful. I won't talk about all of them since he has 1,512 of them, and we would be here for days. So I'll only talk about his major ones. As forearms, Ben was able to defeat Luma Redwind, who is stated to be able to destroy entire planets, such as Earth, and could also contend with Ultimate Spider Monkey, which would scale to solar system levels of strength. Ben has other aliens like Diamond Head, who can compete with Rex Salazar, who is also a solar system level threat, as well as most of his aliens reaching these solar system levels of strength. However, aliens like Way Big were able to overpower the universal Vilgax. As feedback, Ben was able to hold the Big Bang in his hands and successfully stop it from going off. Feedback is not even Ben's strongest alien, and he was able to stop a multiversal creation event. So you're probably wondering, if all the aliens I mentioned are not Ben's strongest, what is his strongest? And that is Alien X. Alien X is insane for multiple reasons. For starters, he has been stated multiple times to be the strongest power in the universe, as well as all of existence. Alien X was also able to create the entire 26-dimensional Omniverse by himself with just a thought. So after all of that, Ben would scale to multiversal without Alien X, And with Alien X, he would scale to outerversal, because Alien X would also be above the laws of space, time, reality, and even dimensionality. So who's stronger? It's extremely close, as both of these characters are very powerful. Both can destroy multiple infinite-sized dimensions. Both can remake the vast multiverse. Both are above the laws of time and reality, and both can destroy an infinite amount of dimensions. I feel like Ben is physically stronger than Sailor Moon, especially with aliens like Four Arms, Way Big, and especially Alien X. But in terms of overall strength, it's very close. You can make an argument for Ben being stronger since his cosmology is a lot bigger than the Sailor Moon cosmology. But I feel like they would both tie in terms of strength. This is due to the fact that they both have very similar feats, as well as both of them being able to be scaled to outerversal. However, you can definitely make an argument for Ben being stronger due to his cosmology being bigger than the Sailor Moon cosmology, as well as him being able to create it. However, I feel like since they both have very similar feats, I'm just going to say that they tie in strength, although you can definitely argue that Ben takes strength. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about speed. Even early on in the series, Sailor Moon can quite easily reach FTL, or faster than light, to even MFTL, or massively faster than light speeds. However, she also has very consistent immeasurable speed feats. One feat is when she released all of the light of the silver crystal, which lit up an entire space-time that had been stated to be infinite in size. She was also able to reach Hades/Sailor Pluto's underworld, which has no concept of time or distance. She has many, many, many more feats of immeasurable speeds, so it's quite obvious that she would scale to immeasurable speeds. Ben, without his aliens, would just have the speed of a regular human. However, he has shown consistent MFTL reaction speeds, which is obviously far outside normal human capabilities. With aliens like Accelerate, who is Ben's fastest alien on the ground, he would be able to reach MFTL plus speeds by being faster than Feedback, who, like I said earlier, could catch the literal Big Bang. However, as Alien X, Ben's speed would skyrocket to incomprehensible levels. Alien X was able to fly so fast that he created a black hole, which, if you quickly do the math by using the time it took to make it and how big the black hole actually is, this is a MFTL plus speed feat. However, he can go so much faster than this. Alien X was able to speed blitz Galactic Gladiator, who has a superior reaction speed than the Omnitrix itself, giving him immeasurable speed. Another thing that gives Alien X immeasurable speed is him being able to move in a reality where the concept of time was erased and no longer existed, meaning his speed literally cannot be calculated due to time being removed from the equation, and the speed equation literally requires time to be there to be calculated. So yeah, Alien X is very consistent immeasurable speed feats. Once again, these characters would tie, as they both have very consistent levels of immeasurable speed. However, Sailor Moon would be a lot faster than literally every single one of Ben's aliens, which is a point in her favor. However, she isn't faster than Alien X. And while Alien X isn't faster either, that point in her favor doesn't really give her the edge in this stat, as they would both tie with their consistent immeasurable speed feats. Now let's move on to durability. Sailor Moon can take some very powerful blows. She was able to take blows from Sailor Galaxia, who had the power to destroy the multiverse. She would also be comparable to Sailor Cosmos with the Lambada power, which is a multiversal to complex multiversal level of durability. So overall, Sailor Moon would have complex multiversal to levels of durability and potentially even higher. Ben, even before transforming, is very durable. He was able to take punches from Esoterica as well as a casual blow from Ultimate Agarigor, which is a solar system level feat. As Way Big, Vilgax, who was a universal threat, was unable to hurt Ben and only made him a little mad when he got attacked. As Diamond Head, Ben was unable to be affected by Colossal Kevin's attacks, as well as take hits from Sunder. So before we talk about Alien X, Ben would have universal levels of durability. Now let's see how Alien X adds to this, and might I say, he absolutely does. Alien X was able to go blow for blow with Galactic Gladiator, who is an entity who should be comparable to Alien X himself in terms of strength. This means Alien X would have anywhere between hyperversal to outer versal levels of durability. So finally, we don't have a tie and a stat because Ben would take durability pretty easily. While Sailor Moon is very durable in her own right, she pales in comparison to Alien X being able to survive hits from Galactic Gladiator, who is an entity who is basically equal and slightly weaker than Alien X. So yeah, Ben takes durability. Now let's move on to the next stats, which are IQ and experience. Sailor Moon is very inconsistent when it comes to how intelligent she is. She has been stated to be an academic underachiever, as well as being terrible with technology. However, she also has feats of omnipotence with the Lambada power. However, since it's an outside force that she doesn't always have access to, she isn't omnipotent on her own. As for experience, it develops a lot as the series goes on. However, at the end of the series, she has high levels of experience after fighting gods, time paradoxes, and multiversal threats pretty much on a daily basis for years. So overall, she would have around average intelligence with her own power and omnipotence with the Lambada power, and is also one of the most experienced warriors in the entire Sailor Moon anime manga. Ben's intelligence at face value is just alright. He is a middle school student after all. However, in reality, he is very gifted. Azimuth says that Ben, with the power of the Omnitrix, is the smartest being in 5 galaxies. Ben was also able to outsmart Vilgax on Primus, who is a very experienced warlord. Ben's smartest alien is Gray Matter, who is a super genius, who has an IQ higher than Brainstorm, who has an IQ of 1 nonillion, which is 10 to the power of 30, or 30 zeros, by the way. Gray Matter is so smart, he was able to hack into the Omnitrix itself and unlock its master control, and even remove its failsafe, which I'll talk about later. Gray Matter has also been stated to be the second smartest being in the entire universe. So you're probably wondering who the smartest is. And I'll tell you, it is Alien X along with the other Celestial Sapiens. The Celestial Sapiens are a species of aliens that live outside the concept of time and reality, and all of them are high omnipotent beings. This omnipotence has been stated multiple times by multiple sources. Alien X was also able to recreate the entire 26-dimensional omniverse to its very exact details as it was before it got erased right on top of him. As for experience, Ben should be very experienced, as he was able to fight multiple threats not only to the planet but also the entire universe on multiple occasions. He's been fighting these cosmic level threats for years, and he even got some formal training in from multiple sources. So who takes these stats? I'm going to give the edge in both stats to Ben. While yes, Sailor Moon can reach omnipotence, she can't do it without outside forces, unlike Ben, who always has constant access to Alien X's omnipotence at all times. It also doesn't help her case that Ben has so many aliens that completely trump her in intelligence, like gray matter, brainstorm, upgrade, etc. While yes, the Lambada power is great, Sailor Moon doesn't always have access to its full power at all times, like I've said. Ben would take experience over Sailor Moon too, due to the fact that he's gotten way more formal training than Sailor Moon. While both have fought cosmic level entities for similar amounts of time, only one of them managed to get formal training, while the other one just kind of evolves from emotions. So Ben takes IQ and experience. Before I come to the verdict on who wins, I have to talk about all their abilities, so let's get right to that. Sailor Moon is stacked when it comes to the sheer amount of abilities she has. Strap in, this is going to take a hot minute. All of her abilities are flight, enhanced senses, magic, telepathy, teleportation, longevity, reincarnation, precognition, immortality, force fields, transformation, regeneration, dimensional travel, limited perception manipulation, non-physical interaction, light manipulation, stealth mastery, expertise in martial arts, healing, energy manipulation, space manipulation, time manipulation, sound manipulation, purification, resurrection, energy absorption, reactive evolution, extrasensory perception, transmutation, weapon mastery, weapon creation, life absorption, mind manipulation, darkness manipulation, restoration, empowerment, sealing, power nullification, invulnerability, existence erasure, time travel, reality warping, biological manipulation, regeneration negation, soul manipulation, and resistances to ice manipulation, corruption, perception manipulation, mind manipulation, power absorption, time manipulation, existence erasure, poison manipulation, paralysis, gravity manipulation, space manipulation, power nullification, energy absorption, soul manipulation, fate manipulation, sealing, age manipulation, regeneration negation, memory manipulation, and many, many more. So yeah, Sailor Moon has so many abilities that I think I might have missed a few. She also has some equipment with her, such as the transformation brooch to allow Sailor Moon to transform, the disguise pen which allows her to disguise herself, a crystal star, cosmic heart compact, a holy grail, crisis moon compact, holy moon chalice, eternal moon article, weaponized tiaras, weaponized hair clips, the moon stick, cutie moon rod, and many more. So yeah, Sailor Moon has no shortage of ways to get out of bad situations. Now let's move on to Ben. Ben, like Sailor Moon, has so many abilities. So let's get to that. Such abilities are immortality, supernatural willpower, photographic memory, fourth wall breaking, social influencing, flight, space travel, underwater breathing, electricity manipulation, element manipulation of every single variety, mind manipulation, power mimicry, biological manipulation, duplication, attack reflection, time travel, age manipulation, force field creation, thread manipulation, missile projection, time manipulation, intangibility, soul manipulation, super speed, teleportation, regeneration, beyond dimensional existence, causality, cosmic awareness, omnipotence, dimensionality manipulation, dimensional storage, non-physical interaction and manipulation, portal creation, reality warping, temporal restoration, causality manipulation, light manipulation, clairvoyance, existence erasure, soul destruction, non-existence erasure, meaning he can erase even what doesn't exist and doesn't abide by the laws of space-time or reality, technology manipulation, data manipulation, gravity manipulation, black hole creation, avatar creation, shape-shifting, pocket reality manipulation, telekinesis, body control, physics manipulation, law manipulation, summoning, shockwave generation, control over all living beings, levitation, energy manipulation and absorption, abstract existence and incorporeality, immortality negation, as well as resistances to existence erasure, space and time manipulation, information destruction, biological manipulation, transmutation, manipulation of every element against him, heat and cold, reality warping, vibration manipulation, and many, many more. On top of all of those abilities, the Omnitrix itself has some benefits besides allowing Ben to transform into aliens. There are two major functions I'm going to talk about. The first one is the Omnitrix's failsafe, which is when the Omnitrix detects danger, it would automatically and instantly make Ben able to transform into the alien best suited for said problem. And another thing is that it can detect a person going through time and will immediately send Ben to that point in time. So after all of that information, who wins? Well, it's very hard to decide. While Ben takes more stats, taking durability, IQ, and experience, and arguably strength, they would both tie in said strength and speed. However, despite that, this fight is still so hard to decide who wins. They both have resistances to literally everything the other one can throw at them, and they both also have forms of immortality. Sailor Moon cannot harm Ben in any way, and Ben cannot harm Sailor Moon in any way. Literally every single ability that these characters have, the other has a resistance to it. Even if Ben somehow managed to kill Sailor Moon by negating her immortality, she could just resurrect herself infinitely. Or can she? You see, Sailor Moon can't just resurrect herself with her own power. She needs the Silver Crystal and the Lambada power. Like I said earlier, Sailor Moon doesn't always have access to the full power of the Lambada power. But she also doesn't always have access to the Silver Crystal. In fact, the crystal is tied to her emotions and only shows up if Sailor Moon is in the right head and in a moment of peace, which is pretty hard in an intense battle like this. Even if she did always have access to it, it's only a finite amount of power, meaning she can't resurrect anymore after the Silver Crystal runs out of power. Meaning Ben's only win con is to fight until the Silver Crystal runs out of power, then use his abilities to negate her immortality, and finally put her down for good. Without this one factor, this fight is literally a stalemate since both characters can't hurt the other. Because they literally resist everything the other person can throw at them. So the only way this fight ends is for the Silver Crystal to run out of power, Ben using his immortality negation to get rid of Sailor Moon's immortality, and then finally, he can make sure Sailor Moon is down for good. She will be reincarnated later, but that would mean the fight would end. So if Ben didn't have this immortality negation, or the Silver Crystal had an infinite amount of energy, this fight is literally a stalemate. But because of this one factor, the winner for this video is Ben Tennyson with extreme difficulty. I hope you enjoyed this video. This video took me a long time to make, and I'm glad it's over, but I did have fun making it. If you disagree with anything I said in this video, be sure to comment down below, and I'll make sure to read your comments so I can better improve my videos. If you want to see any versus debate recommendations, make sure you also comment those down below, and then I'll do them in the future. Alright, I'm Dusty, signing off. Have a wonderful day.